Summer's almost here, which means beach time, and thanks to masterpiece Hollywood films like Jaws, Jurassic World, and The Meg, people are now very aware of the dangers that ancient predators like giant sharks and mosasaurs would pose if they were around in today's oceans. But what about other predators that are extinct now but used to lurk the ocean's depths that don't have nearly the same amount of attention? You might think it's hard doing a top 5 of aquatic extinct predators without having the mosasaur, the megalodon, but you're wrong because there's plenty of fish in the sea. Fear of open water is a very popular fear among humans. It's probably my #1 fear, honestly. Just treading water in a giant body of water where you can't see the bottom, you don't know what's swimming under you. If it's a turtle, a fish, a mermaid, an 80-foot giant predator, you have no idea. Which is a scary thought, but I mean, I live in upstate New York. I don't have to worry in my lakes or rivers or ponds of there being sharks or crocodiles, venomous snakes, giant fish, nothing like that. But 70 or 100, 200 million years ago, first up is the only invertebrate on the list, and something I think we can all agree is a very good thing that they're not around anymore: sea scorpions. Sea scorpions are a group of extinct, mostly aquatic arthropods that existed from the mid-Ordovician period, almost 470 million years ago, to the late Permian, about 251 million years ago. Now, most of these species didn't get overly big. They reached maybe on average 8 to 12 inches long, which is still admittedly huge compared to modern day scorpions, but the largest one to ever exist came from the genus Jaekelopterus, and I'm probably going to butcher the name unfortunately, but it was J. renaniae, and they could reach over 8 feet in length. This also makes it the largest known arthropod to ever exist. This species lived in the estuarine waterways of what is now the Midwest United States, while their sister species, which admittedly is much, much smaller, lived in brackish waters in what is now modern-day Western Germany. So the name sea scorpion isn't really accurate because really only the earliest ones were marine. Most of them lived in freshwater or fresh and salt mixed water, and they also don't have a stinger like modern day scorpions. What these creatures had in place was a paddle-like kind of widened tail that they used to help propel them forward. But they do actually have chelicerae or claws like modern scorpions that can hit almost 20 inches in length, and they had these jagged edges on them to help better hold on to prey. They had really good eyesight and were believed to be fairly fast, so they were definitely an apex predator in these waterways, and they were believed to feed on other larger invertebrates as well as early vertebrates. This wouldn't have been something that could prey upon humans, even the largest one, but I think especially us Americans can agree that it's really good when we go swimming in our lakes that we're not stepping on one of these. In the first part of this series, we talked about Megalania, which was a colossal monitor lizard species that roamed Australia and could definitely make people food. Nothosaurs are like a weirdly proportioned monitor lizard hybrid with sea lions, and the biggest ones could go toe-to-toe with Megalania in size for sure, with the largest of the 12 species hitting about 20 to 24 feet in length, but on average they more fell in like the 11 to 14 or 15 foot range. They're an extinct genus of Sauropterygian reptile that were alive in the Triassic period about 240 to 210 million years ago, with fossils being found in modern-day Europe, northern Africa, and China. And their name actually comes from the Greek words for false lizard. Unlike most of the other predators on this list, Nothosaurs weren't fully aquatic. They actually spent a great amount of time out of the water on the land, kind of like modern day sea lions where they hang out around the water a lot and then they venture in looking for food. And with their long rudder tail, their webbed feet, their thin profile and flattened head, they probably move through the water relatively well. Like the modern day gharial, Nothosaurs had a ton of thin needle-like teeth, which means they most likely fed on fish and invertebrates. And with their extended neck, they kind of look similar in appearance to the much more famous plesiosaur. Even if they weren't as skilled as swimmers as some of the other predators on this list, this was still a very big reptile, outsizing modern day crocodilians for the most part, and it's still something people wouldn't want to run into. So despite all that, this is still a predator that could probably hold its own against sharks and other aquatic predators. At number 3, the dunk, or Dunkliastus, which was a genus of terrifying-looking monster fish from the late Devonian period about 382 to 358 million years ago. These were armored fish with a nasty set of powerful, scary-looking jaws, with the largest species growing to be almost 30 feet in length and weighing 4.5 tons. These powerful jaws could bite down with 1,400 pounds per square inch of jaw strength at the tip and nearly 1,700 on the bladed edge. Oh yeah, this is not like a normal fish mouth. This is like a bony, bladed death trap that no person ever would want to experience. It's like a snapping turtle on steroids that's been hulkified. With all the armor and the hulking body size a lot of these fish had, it means it probably wasn't a very fast swimmer, but anything it bit down on definitely wasn't letting go of. Now, due to the extreme armoring on the head and the jaws, usually that's the part we find the most remains of. In fact, only about 5% of the remains found have more than a quarter of the body preserved. Fossils of Dunkliastus have been found in North America, Poland, Belgium, Morocco, so they definitely favored northern waters. They're mostly fish eaters, with fish remains actually being found in some Dunkliastus fossils, and due to how powerful their jaws were, they could easily crack open the shell of an ammonite, or even through the armor of other placoderms, which are the class that these fish fall under. So for anyone scared of sharks, please, that is the face of aquatic terror, and my fear of open water is very glad that they're not around today. For a while now, especially since Jurassic World, mosasaurs have kind of hogged the spotlight for giant marine reptile predators, but they actually took that spotlight from someone else. Jurassic World did do a really good job of making the mosasaur look terrifying, but they exaggerated a little bit. This is a recreation that's a little bit more accurate to what researchers believe mosasaurs actually looked like, and that it looks like a chubby whale with teeth. You know what is terrifying? A giant marine apex predator with big flippers to move them and a giant crocodile-like head. Pliosaurs were a genus of marine reptile that existed in the late Jurassic period about 157 to 145 million years ago. There aren't a whole lot of fossils found for most of these, so there's a good bit of guesstimation when it comes to max sizes and such, but of the pliosaurs, one kind of reigns above the rest, and for any other kids growing up on dinosaur stuff when they were younger, the moniker given to it will probably sound familiar: Predatorx. Predatorx, which was only first described in 2012, mind you, is the supposed largest pliosaur species with a max length, and this has been questioned in recent years, but a length somewhere between 30 to 42 feet, with a head length of up to 8 feet long. And to put that into perspective, the saltwater crocodile's max head length on record is just under 3 feet long. So take a big crocodile head, combine that with the giant body size and flippers that this predator utilized, and it makes for a surprisingly swift and agile swimmer, so you get a very terrifying predator. And scientists also believe that their brain, both in size and intelligence level, were on par with modern day great white sharks. With their size, there really wasn't much that could stand up to it as a rival, let alone an actual predator. It fed on probably anything it wanted, including fish and especially marine reptiles like smaller plesiosaurs. Now, because so little is known about these reptiles, we don't 100% know how big they get. Maybe they actually grew smaller than this. Maybe they grew even bigger. Maybe Predatorx was actually just the younger form of an even bigger predator. Just Google the monster of Arambari, which is like a partial skeleton of a pliosaur that is believed to, for sure, at least hit 30 feet in length. But there's so little known about it, I don't want to talk about it too much. While Predatorx was really big, it doesn't hold a candle to Leviathan, which is one of the largest predators to ever exist. Leviathan was a giant hyperpredatory sperm whale that lived roughly 10 million years ago, but maybe as recently as 5 million years ago in the oceans of the southern hemisphere. This colossal whale grew anywhere from 40 to 60 feet in length, putting it kind of in league with modern day sperm whales, which usually hit like 35 to 50 feet, and their teeth were huge. They exceeded a foot in length, making them the largest biting teeth of any known predator, not including tusks. This also leads to its name, as it comes from the word Leviathan, which is a giant sea monster. They also have teeth on both their upper and lower jaws, whereas modern day sperm whales only have them on the lower jaw. While modern day sperm whales are famous for going after colossal squid as prey, they also eat other stuff like fish, sharks, rays. Leviathan, on the other hand, most likely went after much bigger stuff like seals, other sharks, large fish, and even medium-sized baleen whales around 20 or so feet long. This targeted prey range would have made its main competitor at the time the Megalodon, which you all know it's the giant shark, which this actually existed in the same time period. While modern day sperm whales tend to dive really deep for their food, Leviathan was probably hanging out more towards the surface for a greater abundance of big food. However, despite this predator's massive size and just unparalleled dominance, it wasn't meant to last, as the cooling event that happened towards the end of the Miocene killed off many of its prey items, and this massive predator too fell victim to extinction. Coincidentally, it was around this time that the orca kind of first rose up into dominance and became the apex predator that we know it as today. So those were 5 giant extinct marine predators that I think deserve some more spotlight, you know, besides the giant sharks and stuff. So like the video if you learned something. Thank you to our amazing patrons for supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. You guys are awesome. If you want to do that, link will be down below. You can do as low as $3 a month if you'd like. Comment down below which of these predators you're most glad aren't around anymore. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you later.